Well, welcome once again to the Ahern video podcast. Today I guess we'll do one of my very rare editorials, and that's to be proud. You should be proud if you're in the trucking industry. You know, I read every day about in the government's infinite wisdom how they're going to make sure that the public is safe from us. They're going to make sure that they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that big rig on the highway doesn't injure someone. And I think in their I think in their thought process, first impressions and votes are what dictate their actions. But more importantly, what I've learned with politicians is they listen to everybody that doesn't understand what they're talking about, and they make an intelligent decision based upon a foolish objective. And the point I'm making is that, and I continually stress, that trucking is the middle America as you're going to get. The more constraints you put on the trucking industry, the harder it is for the consumer to be able to pay for durable goods down the road. Many companies have gone out of business because of all of the technologically constraints of the trucking industry. But the trucking industry is the safest industry on the road. I think there was a survey by the American Trucking Association where there's 100,000 trucks. There are 100,000 fatalities in like 20 or 30 years by trucks. Yet private passenger vehicles have 32 to 36,000 fatalities a year. That'd be 300 or 400 times as many. And yet, how many times you see a person has a DUI on the road with driving a vehicle, or they've got 2 DUIs and they're on the road driving a vehicle? That would never, ever happen in the trucking industry. You should be very proud because everything that the consumer has, whether it's medical supplies, food on the table, clothes on their back, toilets in the bathroom, shower heads, roofing shingles, everything at some point in time was delivered by a truck. I was having dinner with a good friend of mine and his wife one day, and he says, "Andy, I don't know how you do it. You're in such a rough industry dealing with a bunch of rednecks." And he caught my attention. I said, "I beg your pardon?" "Well, you know what I meant." "No, I don't know what you mean. Tell me what you frickin' meant." And he said, "Well, you know, we read the papers all the time, and we know these guys drink a lot, and they're on drugs." And I said, "Stop. You don't know what the F you're talking about." But I said, "Do you remember when your child was in the hospital 6 months ago? And do you remember that they had a life-saving drug that saved that child's life?" Yeah. "How do you think that drug got there?" "It got there by one of the frickin' rednecks." And there's dead silence. He says, "I didn't mean that to piss you off." I said, "Well, you did, because your conception is wrong. Trucking is as middle America as you're going to get. They're hardworking individuals. Do some of them drink? I'm sure some of them do. But on the public highways, you got drunks every day. You can't drink and drive a big rig, or you won't have a career." And so the bantering went on and on and on. Finally he says, "I think I better leave." And I said, "I think you should leave, because you know what? After all these years of knowing you, I didn't realize how narrow-minded you were. I'm very proud to be in this industry. And I'll tell you categorically that I could not be a truck driver, because I could not put up with the abuse they have to put up with. After being on the road, after being tired, you get to the shipper, and even though you're there on time, he says, "Go wait over there. I'm not ready." Well, that's costing me, the driver, money. That's costing downtime. That's screwing up our system so we can make another delivery, be another pickup. And that's the point I was making. You know, human nature looks at it very narrowly. When a truck is in an accident, is it publicized? Yes. When a private passenger is killed, a little thing like this. If the guy was drunk, a little thing like this. If a truck, and what's worse is that because of the public's perception, if you look at some of the claims that have happened in the last couple of years, New Mexico, $53 million. California, the driver was stopped and parked, and the truck was off 150, and the private passenger ran into the back of him. $150 million. And you know what? That's all about public perception. I think the American Trucking Association said it the best way is we have to change our image. There's nothing wrong with our industry. There's nothing wrong with our people. There's nothing wrong with our drivers. It's the perception. Because of the politicians and because the general public believes everything that they read in the paper. Now, if someone is tragically killed by a truck, is it a tragedy? Absolutely. Doesn't make any difference if they're killed in a truck, or they've been killed in a car, or they've fallen off a mountain, or they slipped and fall from a ladder. Anytime human life is ended, it's a tragedy. But it doesn't mean that the industry should be crucified when they're safer than the general public. So for all of you that are truck drivers, you're to be commended. For all of you that are in a trucking association, you're to be commended. For all of you that own trucking companies, you're going to be commended. For all of you that are freight brokers, logistics, anybody in our industry, congratulations on a job well done. Thank you until next time, and no more editorials for a while.